This episode of Clarence starts by showing some Jeff has about himself, who he believed he was someone completely correct who did everything, no matter how small, at the right time, in the most organized and best way possible. He says he wasn't like the others, and that he was actually someone different and special. Well, everyone is different, but clinging to the idea that you're special can be a dangerous thing, and it ends up only holding us back. Because, whether we like it or not, we start expecting some kind of reward from the world, even if unconsciously. After all, it's supposed to come to me, I deserve it. Because I'm special. I know, it's very comforting to think that way, but the truth is, the world doesn't care about that. In fact, it goes out of its way to show you the opposite every day. It makes it very clear that it doesn't owe anything to me or to you. Quite the opposite. The ones who owe energy to the world every day are us. And things get easier when we feel capable, not special. On that exact day, the results of a test were going to be released. A test that would divide Jeff's class into two different groups. The Feather group, which was for the more advanced students who got higher scores on the test, and the Chalk group for those who didn't do as well and had more difficulty. While on the school bus, Jeff is already rehearsing what he's going to say to Sumo and Clarence to explain that they wouldn't be in the class anymore, since he was absolutely certain he would be in the Feather group, while the other two would be Chalk. And when he actually delivers that rehearsed speech to his friends, you can clearly sense the superiority in Jeff's words. He literally tells his best friends that nothing would change, except that his life would be better, and that everyone follows their own path, but his path was greater. He believed he was better than the two of them because he saw himself as more intelligent and special. But the problem is, the more we insist on putting ourselves above others, the greater the fall can be. And that's exactly what Jeff is going to experience in this episode. When the teacher starts handing out the test results, Sumo and Clarence get extremely happy upon discovering they're both in the Chalk group, and it's clear they don't care at all, as long as they get to stay in the same class. That's what really mattered to them, which is very different from Jeff. Before receiving his own result, Jeff seemed 100% confident and carefree, but the fall ends up being steep when he finds out his score placed him in the Chalk group too. Jeff freaks out and immediately interrupts the class, calling the teacher outside to talk, repeating over and over that there must be some mistake. It's clear he can't even begin to consider the idea that he might have done poorly on the test, because he sees himself as perfect, incapable of failure. He insists a lot, but the teacher confirms there was no mistake, and that his score did place him in the Chalk group. Then she says she thought Jeff would be happy to still be in the same class as his friends, but he simply replies that he's not, because he wanted his life to be better than theirs. That answer shocks the teacher. It was the last thing she expected to hear. And the more Jeff kept feeding his enormous ego and telling himself he was superior to others, the more he kept destroying himself and making even more mistakes. And he would keep making them, because he was becoming increasingly incapable of recognizing or admitting his own flaws. After all, someone perfect like him was always right. He continues refusing to accept reality, and even tries to bribe the teacher, but, of course, ends up being removed from the classroom. At this point, Jeff had already reached an insane level of denial and kept telling himself there had to be some way to prove to the teacher that he was better than this, that he was better than a Chalk. And so, his brilliant idea was basically to walk into the Feather group's classroom out of nowhere and pretend to be clueless when people told him that wasn't his group. He kept repeating that he was one of them, that he belonged there, and he truly believed it. But it wasn't reality. Jeff is dragged out of the classroom once again, and eventually passes out, falling into a nightmare that portrays his greatest fear, being stuck in a den job with no other options, living an ordinary life without any major accomplishments, just like he thought the lives of his friends would turn out. After that, he wakes up and lies on the floor with a blank expression, just reflecting in silence for a long while. When he finally gets up, he glances at the test results lying around on the teacher's desk and finds something that makes him really happy. He had scored exactly average. But in the end, we realize Jeff didn't learn anything from everything that had happened, because once again, he starts talking about himself, just like he did at the beginning of the episode. Only now, he says he's a Chalk, but not just any Chalk. He was a special and perfect Chalk, because he landed perfectly in the middle. He says that maybe he's not a feather, but he wishes them well, because they're imperfect, and he's not. Jeff chose to keep believing in the lie that he was perfect and special, because he couldn't be happy, or even look at himself without it. It's more comfortable to believe that fate still owes us something, that we deserve a better life than others, because we are the chosen ones, the destined ones, the special ones. But we're not. What we really need is a lot of willpower to get what we want. We need to pick up the broken pieces and start over every single morning. We taste the bitterness of life every day. We're all the person rushing by while checking the clock in someone else's eyes. But you know exactly who you are in your own eyes. The real question is, are you proud of that? But if everyone has dreams, why do so few of them come true? Why do most die along with fears, doubts, regrets? Maybe it's because so many people fool themselves into thinking they'll be bigger than their dream, bigger than the other person.